approval of February 20th minutes, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second, all approves, so raise your right hand. Okay, 3-0, thank you. Presentation, safe routes to school. And is that you, Braxton?
That'll be me.
Okay, who's me?
Taylor.
Taylor.
Taylor?
Yes.
Oh, good morning.
All right. Good morning. Do you want me to go ahead and share my screen, Liz, or do you have the presentation also?
Yes or no, Rosie? Okay. You don't need to share it. Rosie's got you. Go ahead.
Okay. I was like, all right. Can't see what she's showing you though, but let's see. All right. Would it be? Okay. So we have completed our Safe Routes to School plan and this, okay, perfect. Here we go. And so this was in conjunction with our consultants tool design group, and this was a study of all of 501 elementary schools. So there was 14 of them. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So with this plan, we were looking to increase the number of youth walking, biking, carpooling, using bus or public transportation, as well as increase school travel safety for all modes, focusing specifically on walking and biking, and ensuring multimodal transportation access for students and families of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds. Particularly paying attention to the vulnerable users, and then as well as increase awareness of how safe routes to school infrastructure and programming can be effective ways to address the above issues. If you're able to go to the third slide. Oh, one up, sorry, one before this. So, yeah. All right, well, so you can leave it here. The planning process was, so the tool met with the city staff as well as representatives from 501. They reached out to all of the principals of each of the schools to kind of give them an update of what's going on and just, you know, getting information since the principals, you know their school and know what's going on. There was data collected to determine locations of existing sidewalks, bikeways, crashes, and anything involving pedestrians or bicycles. There was parent and caregiver surveys that were handed out, as well as student travel tallies. And then they observed every school for both arrival and dismissal. And then walk audits where they walked like a quarter mile around each school to check, a half a mile around each school to look at the existing infrastructure. So here, this page, I believe you're looking at. So here's a school snapshot and infrastructure recommendation. They did this for every school. So it kind of shows basically the area that they looked. That's the quarter mile buffer. They included location, background, all of the survey and tally results, any observations that they collected, and then included some safety and mobility considerations, as well as segment and spot issue recommendations. So that would be more of the structure, such as missing sidewalks, missing ADA ramps and crosswalks and that kind of thing. Next slide, please.
Did we lose her?
Can you hear me? Oh, there we go. Okay, so here is the next slide. So this is just kind of give you guys an overview or an example of what these results looked like from the caregiver surveys and student tallies. They were basically asking, reasons why caregivers don't allow children to walk or bike to school, how they walk to school, the distance, their current mode, and that kind of thing. And so they compiled all that to see what was going on at each school. All right. And then the next slide, please. All right. So after they did kind of the background information for each school, they also included implementation priorities and funding policy and programming priorities. And these were broken up into two categories, kind of the short term or those low hanging fruit that'd be easy to accomplish early on, as well as a long term goal that are probably things that will take a little bit longer to either kind of set up or get going. So some of these things that were included were basically just building partnerships between the school and the city for safe routes to school. Basically creating like info kits to show the schools how they can achieve some of these programs and policies. Continued to do those surveys as well as educational campaigns to be sent out to parents, and then promoting walk to school and bike to school day. So those are the short term. And going long term, it would be doing things such as district-wide crossing guard policy and program, providing safety training as well, like in the curriculum, expanding the fleet, conducting a bike rodeo, and creating walking school buses and bike trains. A lot of those things take a little bit more buy-in from each school specifically for those things to kind of take off. And you need somebody that really wants to champion those. So it's really finding the right people. That's probably the biggest hurdle. Once you find those people that are interested and are ready to go, some of these things fall into place fairly easily and could happen, sooner than the years that it states. Next slide, please. And then the second part of that was the infrastructure priorities. So these, again, were broken up into short term and long term. The short term, again, easier things to do, and they're usually cost less. So things like demonstration projects or pop-up projects that can be done for like a week at a time and get some feedback on those to see how people are liking those. Sidewalk repairs, pedestrian signal enhancement, and then some of the long term would be to do a lot more of the ADA compliant sidewalks and ramps and that kind of thing, as well as rapid flashing beacons or other signal upgrades and installation of missing ADA curb ramps. So those again would just depend on, funding availability and what we had to work with. And then here is another snapshot of so this was done for each school. And so here is an example of one of the schools, and you could see the half-mile buffer, and they went out. And so here's highlighted some of the recommendations of where, sidewalks are missing and ramps. And so this will have the issue and what the recommendation is for those spots. Going forward, we'll have some cost estimates associated with each of these spots and segment locations. And so then it'll be easier to either, apply for grants or look for other funding for these kinds of things. This will be a great resource for not only the transportation planning department for grants, but also like neighborhoods can use it for dreams projects if they would like to, point out areas that are in need and things like that. So that is a brief overview of the project. We're probably about 90% complete. We are just waiting on the final draft or the final document. It has been approved by the policy board. And once it is complete, we'll push it out there. But we're kind of just waiting on the final cost estimates for each of those spot segments and things like that. But is there any questions from you guys?
Taylor, if you would, state your full name and who you're with, please.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm Taylor Wolf, or sometimes you might see Taylor Ricketts. Either one's fine. And I am the transportation planner for the city of Topeka and the MPO.
Okay. And I just have one question. What about the schools that have been closed? I seen you use McEachern as a, model here. And I know some of the schools are closing every so years. I sat on that board on 501. Are we aware of that? So we're not wasting our money with those schools that are closing periodically?
Yes. So since this is just like the plan of where things are where things could be done, if we will obviously have a relationship with 501. So before we were to do any actual spending of any funds, we would be, working with 501. And if they knew of any school closing coming up, they might, direct us in a different direction, that kind of thing. So we're not spending money in that area, as well as we can take maybe still use some of the information from around the closed schools and maybe broaden it to connect to the other schools that maybe that they're sending them to, so that there might be connections for the students that were in this area that are being pushed to the other schools.
Okay,
So that is, we are keeping that aware, but
okay. My colleagues have, yes, Councilman Banks.
Taylor, how do you go about determining which schools need these sidewalks or signals or crosswalks? How do you determine?
yes. So that was determined by the consultants. They went out and did like in-field assessment. And so they walked it, they took notes, and they documented basically everything that was either missing, damaged, or just in need. And so each school has its own list of projects that are of what's needed for each school. And then they will be also prioritized with for all of the schools based on kind of what they saw as far as, the areas of more disadvantaged, the areas that probably there's more people that are actually walking as of now. And then they took some other factors into that for at least the priority listings of each school, as well as within each school has a priority list just based on, how much need there was or how bad the conditions were, that kind of thing. So it was all in field, visually grabbing.
So did Ross Elementary or Eisenhower area meet the consultant's priority list?
Yes, all 14 of the elementary schools in 501 were addressed.
Okay.
So they were looked at. And the schools were in communications with our consultants. And so they were also able to give their feedback as far as things that they knew that maybe you wouldn't notice just by looking. But since they know just by being there every day, they, have the inside scoop of problem areas. And so they were given to the consultants as well to
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Uh-huh.
Taylor, if you would, on that, would you send that to Liz and she can send that to Councilman Banks? So he's new on the council, so he can get an update on that?
Yes, we probably should have that final draft
Okay.
here anytime. And so once we have the final, I'll have Amanda send it out. And so all of council can,
Yeah, Liz,
take a look
Liz,
at it.
if you would be so kind to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
Councilman Dobler.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Taylor, what are the success metrics for this program? How do we know we're getting a return on our investment for this? So how do you measure your short-term, long-term goals?
I would say probably the biggest sign would just be the increase of students walking and biking to schools. I think that would probably be, the first and foremost way of actually seeing this being happened. Another would just be, spreading that awareness. So if students are more either aware that they have these options and even giving these options to the students where maybe before they didn't actually have the opportunities to walk because it was either like unsafe or, you're crossing it unsafe crosswalks. So getting that number up, and then as well as if we're able to, get into like the school curriculums, getting more students, able to ride bikes, teaching them, just getting all that kind of up. I would say the basic and the most prominent one would just be the number of students walking and biking.
So are we tracking those metrics? This program's been in effect for many, many years. Do we know if it's having an impact?
As far as so Safe Routes technically has been put out, but since that it's been out there, there's not been much actual, I guess, increase on either like awareness or infrastructure. So none of the things that lead to Safe Routes working have actually been implemented very much. And so with this plan, we are hoping to push out these policies and increase in infrastructure. And so those will lead to the increases. I think in the past, we have not seen too much increase just because we weren't doing any of these things. We weren't doing, with the very minimal things that have been going on, such as I know that there was the fleet that got sent to the schools. So some of the schools do include like a bike segment in their PE curriculum. Those ones, definitely we've seen good results with those as far as, teaching the students how to ride bikes and learning some of the basic safety rules and things like that. But there hasn't been like a big push so far. Whereas we're hoping with this plan that it really takes off and we'll see more increase.
Great. I know that Councilman Duncan is on the line. Councilman, do you have any questions?
Not at this time. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, is there any other representatives on the line that you know? Doesn't look like it. Okay. All right, well, Taylor, thank you for that presentation. Glad that I got to hear it twice, and now I really understand it.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there's no further questions, we'll move on to action items. Number 4A. Is that you, Braxton?
That would be me,
All right,
Madam Chair. The next 5 items are mine.
surf away.
So as you'll remember, a month ago, I was here asking for an amendment to our street contract maintenance program to expand that by an additional $1 million. These first 2 items are basically the specific projects within that street maintenance program. And the very first one is seeking approval to move forward with our microsurfacing project, which for this year is in the northwest quadrant of town. In the town, we have divided the town into 4 quadrants. Topeka Boulevard delineates east and west, and then 21st Street delineates north and south. So this will be north of 21st, west of Topeka Boulevard, $1.5 million of microsurfacing in that quadrant. And with that, I'll stand for any questions. I would ask your approval.
Are there any questions?
Move approval.
It's been moved.
Second.
Second. Is there any questions before we vote? It's much needed. Glad to see it on here. With that said, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 3-0. Thank you. B.
Second one is also under the street contract maintenance program. This is for $1 million for ultra-thin bonded asphalt surface. Specifically, the streets that we are targeting are 6th Street from McVicker to Monroe, and then Monroe and Madison from 6th to 10th. And we are trying to get that done this year because in 2025, the state of Kansas will be closing I-70 at McVicker, and we expect a tremendous amount of additional traffic detouring down McVicker and then taking Sixth Street into the downtown. So we want to get this UBAS done prior to that project. And with that, I will gladly stand for any questions.
Are there any questions?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. Braxton, this ought to, are we going to do traffic counts while the detour is in effect? Because it seems like this ought to be a really good test of this surfacing application.
That's a great suggestion. We will plan to do that. Obviously, the KDOT hired a consultant who did a model in terms of what our projected traffic counts are on Sixth and McVicker during the construction, but obviously proof's in the pudding in terms of getting counters out there.
Great, thank you.
Any more questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve? It's been moved and seconded. Spencer, do you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you, Chair.
Well, jump in if you do, if I missed
Don't
you.
worry, I will. I'm not shy.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 3-0. C?
Next one is specific project approval to go out to bid for the High Crest Neighborhood Street Maintenance and Utilities projects. This is a total of $6.5 million. We are going to break this project down into 2 phases. The first phase for 2024 will basically be that area of High Crest bounded by Golf Park on the north side, 37th on the south side, and then Adams on the east side. So that large area during this first phase will have some full-depth patching, some storm work, some curb and gutter work, and then the whole area will be milled and overlaid, and that will be 2024. Then 2025, the project area is a little bit north of there, so it's bounded by Golf Park on the south, 31st Street on the north, and Adams, of course, on the east. And that is going to include some water main relocation and replacement, as well as complete reconstruction to 31st Street, which was approved as part of the DREAMS funding that was allocated by the CAC, which is going to allow us to do that full reconstruction of 31st to include sidewalk and storm work along there, and then mill and overlay on all of those streets between Adams and, I'm drawing a blank, Joe, on the one on the far west side, Irvingham. With that, I will gladly stand for any questions, would ask for approval.
Braxton, is this the funding that, the old funding, I guess I'll call it that we approved?
No, this was not part of that old SORT
SORT money?
funding. This was specifically a DREAMS application for
Gotcha.
DREAMS 2 for that additional work that could not be covered by half-cent sales tax on 31st Street.
Okay. And are there any other questions? If not,
Motion to approve.
moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 3-0, thank you. D,
Next 2 projects are Topeka Boulevard projects, and again, we've discussed these in concept. This is to actually authorize us to go out to bid on both of these projects. First one is $2.6 million, and that is complete reconstruction of the intersection of 21st and Topeka, and that will be done in concrete, as well as to replace the water line that crosses Topeka Boulevard at 21st Street, as well as to continue the replacement of that up to Kansas Avenue, where we had replaced the water line as part of that Kansas Avenue project. So with that, I'll gladly stand for any questions, would ask for approval.
when will this be shut down?
Looking at, for this project, probably August, and will be shut down from August until the end of the construction season, that we will need to do a full closure of this intersection to be able to get through there. The reason why it's in August is because the water line, we're still having issues in terms of the brass parts for corpse, tapping saddles. Valves are becoming more readily available, but we're still 8 to 9 months out, and these utilities did place the order, but for us to be able to have the materials in hand, probably looking at around August 1st to get started on that.
Of 2024?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any questions?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and I think Braxton said it well at the Clinton Heights Steel NIA. Please be patient with us. Be patient, patient, patient. It's gonna be a lot of cones over there. With that, all those in favor, raise your right hand. 3-0. And E, Braxton.
And the last project that I have for you today is also on Topeka Boulevard, and this project is south of 21st Street through the intersection of 29th. And this will be largely mill and overlay with limited full-depth patching where needed. Additionally, the Utilities Department is partnering with this to replace water line from 23rd down to 27th. We hope to get this one in construction end of June, 1st of July, and probably looking at the whole construction season on this as well. Our plan would be to do a full closure right off the bat of the intersection of 29th so that we can get in and do that as a mill and overlay, probably looking at 1 week full closure before we could then get that back open to traffic and then start moving north. Ideally, we would do the 2 southbound lanes in the first phase because the new water line is going to go under the inside northbound lane, and so we would leave that for phase 2, and then hopefully by that time, they will have all of their parts and pieces to be able to do the water line.
So you're gonna have at least one lane of travel during this construction, correct?
To the greatest extent possible. But
Right.
29th, we're going to need to do the full closure. There
Right.
is the one section right by the Armory where we don't really have much residence that we may do a full closure on that as well.
Right, that's to 27th.
Yes, ma'am. From 27th down to 29th. If that allows us to save money and to speed up the project to be able to do that, we will look at that option. So I don't want to promise that we are going to have 1 lane northbound, 1 lane southbound the whole time because that's stretched between 27th to 29th. If we're able to obtain a substantial cost savings by allowing a contractor to do a full closure and knocking it all out and shave off, 15 or more days of the construction, then we'll pursue that option.
And I don't see why we wouldn't, because there's nowhere to go. If you're gonna do a full closure on 29th, where are they gonna go?
Correct.
They can't, they can't get in the Armory, and they can't get in residential, so I think that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, but from 27th to 21st, I know my residents are real kind of iffy about that, and I told them that I would ask you to make sure that we can get some travel if need be.
To the greatest extent possible, we will try to maintain 1 lane north, 1 lane of travel north and south.
And again-
From that section 27th to 21st.
And again, be patient and patient. Any questions? Any questions? You guys think that's a good idea? Well, I'm not gonna ask Banks what he thinks, but okay. All right, with that, I'll stand
Move to
for.
approve.
Move to approve? Second? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Awesome. Okay. Other items, is there any other items that you guys want to discuss? Braxton, do you have anything?
Nothing from me,
Nothing?
Madam Chair.
No? Oh. Do you have anything?
I can keep it really brief. I just thought I would let everyone know we have kicked off some work on Polk Quincy Viaduct Project Number 3. So they're currently installing some very large reinforced concrete pipe over to address some stormwater issues. KDOT is also just getting us, they're finalizing their stormwater plans for their project, and that might have some impact on some of our work, and we might have to do a little bit of redesign, but things are going really well. We've issued notices to proceed on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, well, all five of our projects have been issued notices to proceed to our contractors. And we are keeping everything up to speed, up to date on the website. So if you go to topeka.org and you go to that Polk Quincy page, you will see detour information there and project update information there as well, so.
Awesome. Anybody else? Thank you, Sylvia.
Yep.
Thank you. You know, I used to watch these meetings online, and now I'm the chair. I don't know how that happened, but I see a lot of people in the audience that are here, and I want you to stand, all my workers here, because I'm going to ask our committee if we can give them a round of applause. These are the guys out here that are answering our emails. These are the guys that are, and Tony, I know that email address very well. And some of you other ones I just haven't put into motion, but I just want to give them a round of applause and let them know that we appreciate you. We appreciate your response and for all that you do. And you're more valuable in the street than in here, but we'll let you be in here for a minute. But thank you again for all that you do. Is there anything else? Anything else?
No, thank you.
If nothing else, Spencer, you have anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay, if there's nothing else, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you. We always say.